Hello, you're listening to Got Clutter, Get Organized. I am your host, Janet M. Taylor, and I want to say hello if you're a regular listener, and welcome if you're listening for the very first time. I hope you're having a great week. In this episode, we're going to be talking to a fellow organizer, Mary Davis of In Good Order, LLC. And Mary's going to be talking to us about our donations, some of the do's, some of the don'ts, and just thinking outside of the box when we have things that we no longer use or need. I will also be sharing my product suggestion, app suggestion, free purpose suggestion, and book suggestion for this week. And I would like to know where are some of the places you've donated items, because I believe that, maybe somebody in your community or maybe somebody needs to just think outside the box in regards to places where they can give their things. And I want you to know something, that a lot of the places that you do donate are doing good. So Goodwill, the revenue generated from your donations, provides valuable employment training, job placement services for the people within your community. So this week, Mary Davis is a mom, a wife, and a reformed packrat turned professional organizer. After 20 years in the corporate world creating inventory control systems and administrative processes, she realized she could have a great impact on helping people get organized. Mary started In Good Order in 2019. In Good Order transforms spaces by creating functional and beautiful organizing solutions. They help you get rid of the things that leave you feeling overwhelmed and uninspired, and give you your space for what you love. So sit back, take notes as I share my conversation with Mary Davis as we talk about the donation dilemma. Listeners, hello. I'm excited because, of course, I get excited when I have a fellow organizer on as a guest. And today we have Mary Davis, and her company is In Good Order. And we're going to talk about donations because it's spring. You're getting rid of stuff, but we really want people to begin to think about what they're giving away. So, Mary, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Janet.
So before we get started in all the donations, what made you decide to be a professional organizer?
So it was something that I had wanted to do for a long time and kind of thought was a pipe dream. Then my dad passed away, and we had over 5,000 square feet of things to go through and get rid of, which was an eye-opener for me. And it really made me look at my home and my surroundings in a different way. Like, I thought I was organized, but then I realized I really wasn't as organized as I thought I was, or decluttered as I thought I was. So then started really working on my home and helping friends and family. And then a couple of those folks asked, why aren't you doing this for a living? So I just threw caution to the wind and went for it.
Well, thank you so much for joining the organizing family. So my first question to you, because we're talking about donations, when it comes to donations, what are some of the things people do that they should not do when it comes to donations? I mean, you and I talked about it, and, because of what we do, we see people trying to donate stuff that, it just really needs to be trash. So what are some of the things that people do?
I think the biggest thing is if people could approach it instead of, I need to get rid of this stuff and I feel guilty throwing it away, approaching it as, what can I do to provide value to someone else? Don't donate things that people can't use. If they're broken, if they're dirty, don't donate things that you would be embarrassed to see you or your kids wear in public by the condition of it. Clothes should be free of stains, free of holes. Any other household items, toys should have all of the working parts, all of the pieces. So just really don't feel guilty about throwing something away if it's not donatable. Try to recycle it, but don't pass on the burden of getting rid of that item to the place that you're donating it to, because if they can't use it or if it's not in condition for them to use, that's exactly what we're doing.
And I so agree, Mary, especially when it comes to clothes. I think people should really think about how would they want to receive things. You want it clean, if it needs to be mended. You don't want to sometimes take a lot of time doing things, but really think about that. If it's a good piece and it needs a button or it just needs to be clean, I feel just do it. Just do it. And like you said, you
Yeah.
don't want things broken. Make sure all the pieces are there. And even if that just means putting them in a Ziploc bag and doing something like that as well. So,
Yeah.
you're so right. So, what about some of the things that we should give away? Because I think a lot of times there's opportunities, and sometimes we don't really we overlook those things.
I agree. So it's surprising how many things you can donate. You know, really it's just a matter of, and nobody, I get it that none of us need any other to-dos on our list, but just a quick Google search and you'd be surprised. We have places here locally in Richmond, Virginia that will take unused party supplies, craft supplies, any household items that are in good shape. Linens, can go to pet shelters. Dress clothes can go to organizations that dress people for interviews. So if you just take, quick 5 minutes, Google what you've got and see if there's somewhere other than the Goodwill, which is really convenient for all of us, but there's so many other organizations that can benefit from the things that we have.
And you're so right, because as you were talking, I was thinking about a client I work with, and she was a librarian and she was a children's librarian, and she had so many craft items and supplies. And what she did before she retired was she basically put a flyer together and she told all of her other fellow librarians and anybody who was in the crafts, hey, I've got all this wonderful things. Just come by and just take as much as you want. And that was really nice because people were like, oh, yeah, I want that and that. And it really helped her get rid of things but give it away responsibly. So you're right.
Yeah.
Sometimes those blankets, that we may not be able to use or nobody may not be able to use, then you always donate them to the shelters, because the
Yes.
pets, can use them and they can line their cages, etc., like that. So
Yeah.
yes, there's lots of
And
different.
that's a great option that you mentioned, that if you can't find a specific place to donate things to, just put it out on Facebook or something, because there's probably someone else that can use it.
And you're right, because one time, Mary, I had a cutting board that was huge. It was, you could probably fit two turkeys on it. But because it's just me, I really didn't use it. But I didn't feel comfortable giving it to like Goodwill or something, because it had been in my kitchen, but it had never been used. And I cleaned it up. I posted out there. I said, hey, this has never been used. It's been in my kitchen. If anybody wants it, you're welcome to it. And a friend's like, Janet, I want it. I want it. So, that made me feel good, because I knew I couldn't do a traditionally donation, but I knew I hadn't used it. And, I figured somebody who knows me knows, how I am. So, like you said, thinking outside the box.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
So, Mary, with all you do with clients and family, what are some tricks on how you stay organized?
Well, first, I think it's important for people to know, and I'm sure you'll agree, that just because we're professional organizers doesn't mean we're always organized, right? We get busy, we juggle all the balls too. So I think the most important thing is to get those systems into place so that when we do get unorganized, it's really easy to get organized again. And that's why we do what we do, right? To make things, not to solve a problem that never has to be maintained, but to put systems into place that help people help make it easy for people to get back to the place they want to be in. For me, a lot of that means a good old-fashioned paper planner and a to-do list.
Yay for paper planners, because I decided to go back to one. It was like I mean, I have everything digitized, but it's like that paper planner. It's just really makes you feel like you're more in control and efficient. So yes, I'm in that club too, Mary.
Yeah.
So yay. So yeah, and like you said, we are organizers, but it took me a couple. I was so excited because I got a new shredder. That was like that was like the excitement here, and it took me a couple weekends to go through all of that stuff. But like I told people, we got a plan for it, but we have stuff stuff we got to get rid of too. So yes, Mary.
Yes.
So well, thank you so much for different strategies and just different ways of looking how we can get rid of stuff, either donating responsibly or maybe just, deciding, what, it's time to let it go. So how can people get in contact with you, Mary?
I am on the web at www.ingoodorderllc.com. Same on Instagram and Facebook, and at In Good Order LLC.
And of course, listeners, I'll have a direct link to the guest's website. And thank you so much, Mary. And one little last bit, you actually live in the city where my mother was born. Yay for Richmond.
Oh, yay.
Yay for Richmond. So thank you so much, Mary, for your time.
Thank you, Janet, for having me.
Like this show and want to make your own? Let me tell you about Anchor. It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Now you can even add any song from Spotify directly to your episode. The possibilities are endless for what you can create, whether it's music analysis, your own radio show, or something the world's never heard before. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you, so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free app or go to anchor.fm to get started. So was that an informative conversation I had with Mary Davis? I hope that has given you some ideas on what you can donate, but also thinking outside of the box where you can donate. So now I want to transition to Taylor's tip time and kind of piggyback on my conversation with Mary. So the first thing is you want to decide on the space, whether it's the garage, the attic, the basement, the closet. Next, you want to go in there and you want to purge items. Then, whatever you're going to donate, you want to make an appointment to take the items. A lot of times we keep saying, I'm going to do it next week. I'm going to do it in a couple of days. But actually, sit down, call the place, find out what their hours are, and then make an appointment with yourself in your schedule. Then, you want to take the items, and once you drop them off, you want to pat yourself on the back for crossing something off your list. So number 1, decide on whatever area it is. Number 2, purge the area. Number 3, make an appointment and put it in your calendar to take the items. Number 4, physically take the items. And number 5, pat yourself on the back for a job well done. So, have you been working on getting organized and feel that you need someone to guide you from start to finish by providing you with details needed to clear the clutter and get organized? Well, let's talk so I can share how you can get back on track and get organized with my virtual sessions. Go to my contact page and schedule your free 15-minute session. I've also reduced the cost of my virtual sessions for 30 and 60 minutes because sometimes you don't need much time. You just need like somebody to just kind of brainstorm with you. And that's what I'm here for. So check that out. And then also, are you overwhelmed, feeling like you can't manage all that's happening at work, your business, your life? Then let me help you. And I work with clients on helping them get things done and without feeling the stress or burned out. And it's basically managing your time and planning your time. Because you want to create a life so you can have the time to do all that you want to do without feeling overwhelmed. So click the link at the show page for strategize and organize. That's what you're doing. You're strategizing and organizing your life. Well, of course, I want to thank you for following me on social media and for your likes, your retweets, your sharing. Please continue to share. I've uploaded a couple of new things on YouTube, and basically I am taking the podcast and putting it on YouTube now. Yay. And of course, I'll be working on some other things as well. But now I want you to check out my Pinterest page and go to the Pinterest boards. I've got several boards on repurposing because maybe you're going through stuff and you're like, you know what, Janet, I don't feel like donating it. So I've got a repurpose for your garden, repurpose for the office. Sometimes you can repurpose things and use them for your office, and then just repurpose in general. So check those out on my Pinterest page. know what you're saying. You're getting ready. See, I can hear all of you out there chanting, Toss It Tuesday, Toss It Tuesday. So this Toss It Tuesday, because we're talking about spring cleaning and donating and things like that, I want you to go through those boxes and containers that have not been touched in at least a year. That's right. Go through those boxes and containers that have not been touched in at least a year, because there may be items, there may be clothes, there may be household items that you can actually donate. So think about that. And of course, my app suggestion for this week is Gone for Good. And basically what that does is it turns donors into philanthropists. Everyone has treasures they no longer need, and their model is simple. If you have an item of value that no longer want, donate it for Gone for Good. It's a tax-deductible donation. They pick up your donations, they sell the donations, and the proceeds, they help with the expenses, the charity of your choice. So Gone for Good is the app suggestion for this week. And of course, my Amazon product suggestion for this week is woven baskets. Because maybe you have decided, Janet, I want to organize my closet, but right now it's a little bit overwhelming. Well, sometimes I suggest you get a box, a basket, a bin, put it near the closet. Every time you try on something that it doesn't fit, then you just put it in that basket. And when the basket is full, you put it in a bag and you take it to wherever you'd like to donate items. So think about that as well. And of course, I definitely want you to check out, again, my repurpose page. And also just think of some things that you can repurpose throughout your home. People repurpose clothes, people repurpose shoes and boots in the garden, all kinds of things. So check out all those different items as well. My book selection for this week is Free and Clear, 7 Steps to Declutter Your Home and Your Head. Again, Free and Clear, 7 Steps to Declutter Your Home and Your Head. And my quote for this week is, change the ending to someone's story. Change the ending to someone's story, because you've got that suit that you haven't worn in 2 years that you can no longer fit. Change someone's story to someone who can't even afford a suit. Change someone's story who, decided to start a new home, but they don't necessarily have the money to buy all the beautiful items you have, and maybe they can go somewhere and get something within their budget. Change the ending of someone's story. Well, I definitely want to thank you so much for listening, and be sure to share this podcast with your family and friends and on your social media network. And please visit my website at janetmtaylor.com. And until next time, I want you to have a clutter-free day. But most of all, please have an organized week. Organization is a quintessential element of a clutter-free life. Join me as we take this journey together. Along the way, we will find the necessary answers to your organizing dilemma. My name is Janet M. Taylor, and you were tuned in to Got Clutter, Get Organized.